reaction. But anyways, man, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy, man, Jay Willie Silly, man, aka Mr. Take It Easy. For you in dark like busy, cause you know Jay taught them glazes. But make sure y'all follow my Twitch, man. Subscribe to my second channel. Everything you know about your boy Jay is in the description down below. But we got the complete history of Pennywise. You know what I mean? Like I said, y'all, I'm gonna keep on dishing. I'm talking about y'all, I've been dishing since been dishing. You know what I'm saying? But this right here is gonna be the movie reactions playlist section. That's actually a playlist section as well that I really like. You know what I'm saying? So for all my new subscribers and new viewers, do not go around, man, trying to look for, I wonder what this new YouTuber has, man. You know, 2.8K, I'm out of here. Just chill, man. Playlist section, bro, over yonder. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all go. Now this playlist section right here is one of my very few underrated playlist sections, man. I talk about the scary reactions all the time. I talk about the true criminal all the time. You know what I mean? I talk about them such playlist section, but the movie reactions is a playlist section that you have to check out. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna just scare off the lot, you know, doing movie reactions much more. I told you I'm gonna be diverse. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I built my audience on, because I know how to make it. You know, I made it before. It's gonna come slow. You know what I'm saying? But eventually it's gonna come. You know what I mean? One thing, I'm in a season right now where it's patience. You know what I mean? Patience is being tested right now. You know what I mean? So it's all about patience. Things never came fast for me. That's just the honest reality about your boy Jay's lifestyle. You know what I mean? Things never came easy for me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to grow as fast as other people, even though a lot of y'all looking at my channel like, bro, how the frick this man only got 20,000 subscribers, man? They used to be saying that back in the day. You know what I mean? It took me how long to make it to 75,000? You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is with me and God, our relationship. You know, the journey that God has for me is not the journey that God has for, you know, a lot of these YouTubers not even with God. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is when you with God, man. Things gonna go slow. You know what I mean? But you gotta appreciate the journey. You know what I'm saying? You gotta focus on what you have. You know what I mean? Not about what you don't have. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So when things go slow, At least something moving though. You know what I mean? But I did part 1 of it. So if y'all want to go check that out, it is in the movie reaction playlist section.
Marsh hears coming out of her drain later that week, along with the other victims like Matthew Clements and Betty Ripson. The drain spouts blood at her, but like the blood from Jordy's album, her father is unable to see it. It tells Beverly that she'll die if she tries to fight, and then the sink erupts with blood once again. The last incident of June occurs when Richie Tozier is fleeing from some bullies and dips into the park at City Center, where there's a statue of Paul Bunyan used to commemorate Derry's beginnings as a logging town. The statue comes to life and stares Richie in the face, threatening to eat him.
Oh, I remember this.
He runs for it. Paul Bunyan destroys the bench that Richie had just been sitting on with a giant axe. At the time, Richie chalks this up to being some kind of bizarre dream.
Hey, look, would y'all rather have? Would y'all rather have it be it? You know what I'm saying? Or Freddy Krueger? You know what I'm saying? It or Freddy Krueger? I'm gonna have to do. That's a hard, because it's like Freddy is like you sleeping, and then Freddy can get you in your dreams. You know what I mean? But then it, man, it is. I gotta do it, man. I gotta do it. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, because Freddy can get you in your dreams, bro. You like at least when it come to it, you can run from it. You know what I mean? You can get away from it. You know what I mean? But you can't get away from Freddy, bro. Like, this is your dreams, bro. You know what I'm saying? Inform Freddy's coming for you. But that freaking Freddy Krueger song used to freaking scare the freak out of me when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather choose Freddy Krueger than it, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Any form,
but it just
not much happens.
It's
in
dangerous,
the first couple
bro.
days of July, outside of Eddie Kasprak momentarily having a vision of a piranha wearing orange pom-pom buttons while playing in the Barrens. The slow period is likely because it is preparing to feast on a day when Derry's children would be out in droves. July 4th, also known as American Independence Day. Kind of a shame that it didn't go with Cinco de Mayo instead, though. It would have been perfect for this taco analogy I've got going on. July 4th would be the first time that Mike saw it in the form of Pennywise. He was playing in a marching band where he saw the clown handing out balloons to kids on the streets. The sight of Pennywise waving at him gave him a similar feeling to the encounter with the bird. Then, later on up the hill, he saw Pennywise again and wondered how he could have gotten there.
I see that little mother. Like, hold on, bro. Let me see this.
it in the form of Pennywise. He was playing in the marching band where he saw the clown handing out balloons to kids on the streets. The sight of Pennywise waving at him gave him a similar feeling to the encounter with the bird. Then, later on up the hill, he saw Pennywise again.
My man's just tweaking right now.
He could have gotten there so quickly. This time, some of the kids he was handing balloons to were crying. And again, Mike got a bad feeling as he recognized this as the same clown from all of those old photos in his father's album. It was most likely on this day that it claimed the life of young Jimmy Cole, and the rain would later push his body into the sunlight 2 days later on July 6th. He was eventually found with peck wounds all over his body, something that Mike would connect to his encounter with the bird. Jimmy would be the last random victim of it that summer. From this point on, it would exclusively go after Bill Denbrough and his gang of misfits, or Henry Bowers and his gang of bullies.
I'm saying it more, bro. Look, bro. But it come in different things, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
One of the most notorious bullies in all of Derry, perhaps even more feared than Henry Bowers himself, was the 12-year-old named Patrick Hochstetter. Even a sociopath like Patrick had fears of his own for it to take advantage of, though. Patrick developed a fear of leeches while visiting Brewster Lake when he was 7. During the summer when Patrick was 12, it ambushed him at the junkyard, where he would often go and deposit dogs and cats he had killed around town in a discarded refrigerator. To his shock, these
bro, you killing dogs and cats? Psychopath.
Were also able to fly. Perhaps Patrick was so crazy that the leeches were the only semblance of a true fear that it was able to find in him, because as he was being attacked, he saw a figure standing there. It was described as having a face like running wax, as if he didn't know what he wanted to be. This is the only known instance that gives any real insight about what it might look like while cycling among forms. Patrick would eventually pass out from blood loss, only to wake up when it started devouring him. Beverly Marsh sees this incident with the leeches as it's happening, and after Patrick is taken away, she hears Pennywise's laughter reverberating from a pumping station underground. 4 hours later, she brings all of her friends to investigate, where they find a message written inside the fridge in blood. "Stop now before I kill you all. A word to the wise from your friend Pennywise." Pennywise leaves the losers a second warning because at this point, each of them had survived at least once, and the slightest hint of self-doubt begins to manifest itself within the ancient creature. This time, Mike borrows his father's Derry photo album, the one that he recognized the clown in the background of all of those old photos. When they stop at the photo of the World War II parade, like the photo that appeared in George's photo album, this one starts to move as well. Only this time, instead of Bill reaching into the picture, Pennywise rushes up towards them and hangs on a lamppost in the foreground, threatening once again to kill them all, his nose pressing up against the plastic that the photo had been encased in. It rapidly changed forms to some of their fears: Richie's werewolf, Eddie's leper, Ben's mummy, and Stan's dead boys, at which point Stan slams the album shut. That's when Bill starts to realize the truth. It is afraid of them. What Bill hasn't quite figured out yet, though, is that it is especially afraid of the power of their unity, and that's why its next move comes against Eddie while he's alone and at his weakest. On July 20th, 1958, Henry Bowers and his friends chase down Eddie and break his arm. Eddie comes to during the ambulance ride and briefly sees Pennywise behind the wheel. That night, Eddie has a dream about his overprotective mother telling off his friends who come to visit him at the hospital by telling them that he doesn't want to be friends with them anymore, which parallels a conversation that happens in real life at the same time. In the dream, Pennywise is also in the hospital waiting room, wildly dancing to celebrate the breaking up of the Losers Club. The real-life version of this conversation is essentially the same, and it probably has some kind of influence over Mrs. Kasprek to encourage her to try to remove Eddie's friends from his life. And this is further suggested by the fact that the last image...
what a bad mother, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. What a freaking bad mother, man. You know what I mean? How you gonna try to remove his friends? See, one thing that, parents love saying, you know what I mean? Like, they right sometimes, but one thing about parents, they think every one of your friends is bad. You know what I mean? Like, everyone. There's no such thing as a true friend when it comes to parents. You know what I'm saying? No such thing. You bring anybody. Have you ever had them type of parents that just bring up your friends out of nowhere? You know what I mean? I'm talking about they don't like none of your friends. I'm like, dang, why you bringing them in the conversation for? Them motherfuckers don't like none of your friends. You know what I'm saying? Just bring them up in the conversation. Well, this person don't get this. I'm like, man, golly, man. They were right, though. You start thinking about it. Them motherfuckers was right. You know what I'm saying? Start thinking about it. Because like I said, I only got 2 homies. You feel me? So the motherfuckers was right. Start listening to the mother. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Had to start seeing it throughout my life. You feel me? Now you start growing up. You start being like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, mommy and daddy probably was right. Not probably was right. You know what I mean? About your friends really don't give a F about you. You know what I'm saying? That really was right. Friends don't really love you for real. You know what I mean? My pops used to always say that. You know what I mean? Whole time you start seeing, dang, Papa really was right though. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Cut off so many mother effers in, make no dang sense. Mother effers you thought you would spend your whole life with turn out to be straight weirdos.
Dream is it toggling among the many forms, the last of which has his mother's face. The incident does cause some turmoil inside of the friend group, but that doesn't stop them from reuniting to take on it once again. On July 25th, the 7 losers arrive at 29 Newbolts. Each of them react differently to the house.
You mean the 6 losers? It's the 6 losers now.
They find a white clown glove. When they go upstairs, they come across a dirty magazine that winks at Ben. The hallways they traverse shrink in on them, and the eyes of the elves plastered on the wallpaper begin to bleed. It is doing everything it can to scare them away without having to face them directly. They come across 3 doors. The first contains a bed, which explodes and oozes out black liquid. The second sounds like it has a loud buzzing insect behind it, but it turns out to only be a moose blower, which is essentially a can that lets out a constant noise as sort of an audio scarecrow for farmers. The third door is just a bathroom, but the toilet seems to have exploded, leaving white porcelain shards lying around the room.
So it really scary as a mother effer though. You know what I mean? It really scary.
It quickly rushes up the pipe in what Ben perceives to be its own form, which we know to be the deadlights. It explodes
like the
out of
devil.
pipe, taking the form of the werewolf and attacking Bill and Ben. Beverly fights back with the slingshot loaded with silver ball bearings, which they believe to be effective based on the werewolf movies that they've seen. She hits it on the snout with her last shot, sending blood everywhere. However, the losers are now defenseless. With no remaining ammo, Bev pulls back the slingshot again and uses her belief to try to frighten it, sending it diving back into the drain, screaming, "I'll kill you all." Not much happens in the next couple weeks leading up to the big confrontation, but there is some activity from it, who is now more afraid than ever of the Losers Club and their power. It decided to bring on a new ally, one that wouldn't be limited by the power of fear alone, so it teams up with the next biggest enemy of the losers, Henry Bowers. After losing the switchblade that Henry had attacked Ben with on the last day of school, Henry needed a new weapon. In early August, he saw some red balloons tied to his mailbox, the faces of the losers on each balloon. The balloons popped and the mailbox swung down to show him the package. It was a knife. The return address simply said Robert Gray. After this, Henry started hearing voices from the moon, commanding him to kill
that's exactly how the devil is though. You know what I'm saying? Like how the devil can't create nothing, you know what I'm saying? Only suggest. You see how he's suggesting things, you know what I'm saying? This is exactly, I just started peeling like this is exactly how the devil is, bro. Just suggest things to you, bro. Keep suggesting. Can't create nothing, but he suggesting. You know what I mean? He really scared of him. This big bad it. You know what I'm saying? Really scared of the 7 losers. You know what I mean? 7 losers club trying to put them switch to that booty.
Robert Gray.
Yeah.
After this, Henry started hearing voices from the moon, commanding him to kill his father, then telling him to get Victor and Belch to help him go after Beverly.
You know what he finna do? Keep listening to that big-headed moon. You know what I mean? Keep listening to that big-headed moon. All it doing is suggesting. It can't make him kill. All it gonna do, keep doing is suggesting. And then eventually, if you start ignoring it, it gonna disappear. You know what I'm saying? Just like Satan. And keep on suggesting until you do it. And I promise you this motherfucker gonna do it. I can promise you this super thug gonna do it.
They end up chasing the losers down into a pumping station.
See, look at I'm built like a sack of lunch.
Connected to the sewer system where it lives. Victor and Belch reluctantly go down there with Henry. I personally think that it senses their reluctance and decides to take them out. First using the form of Frankenstein's monster to decapitate Victor, then tearing Belch's face in half when he tries to fight back.
Dang.
Henry goes on after the losers, leaving Belch to die at the hands of it. The losers attempt to find its lair, letting Eddie lead the way with his impeccable sense of direction. They are cut off, however, by it in the form of a giant eye, resembling the monster from a movie that Richie had seen called The Crawling Eye. Gotta admit that one actually sounds kind of scary. Each of them is grabbed by one of the eye's 6 tentacles, besides Eddie, who pretends that his asthma aspirator is battery acid and sprays it in the eye to help drive it away. Next, they're attacked by the giant bird form, but Stan uses his extensive knowledge of birds to determine that it isn't a real bird, and the fact that Stan doesn't believe in it weakens the monster once more. The 7 make it to a door containing the lair of it, a cathedral-like chamber covered in spider webs. It is here that they encounter the true form of it, an endless hairy crawling form composed of light that their human minds can only interpret as a giant spider. So that's what they all see it as, much to the dismay of television audiences of the 90s. It goes after their leader, Bill, launching him out of his physical body for a mental confrontation on what Stephen King describes as the ballroom floor of eternity. The turtle catches Bill and tells him he takes no stand in the conflict, that Bill must fight on his own. Then Bill uses his mind to to engage in something known as the ritual of chud, then cries out the line, he thrusts his fists against the posts and still insists he sees the ghost, a phrase that was supposed to help him overcome his stutter. Bill uses his faith in all of the childish things he believes in to mentally grab onto its mind and push himself back towards the real world. It screams at Bill to let go as he rejoins his circle of friends in the real world. The spider flees into the depths of her lair, and Eddie tells them he could all hear it and that it was dying. All they could do was hope that they had defeated the monster that had haunted Derry and killed it. They make a blood pact to return to finish the job should it ever rise again. So the 1957-1958 cycle ends prematurely, with it going into an early sleep after the defeat at the hands of the Losers Club. But as always, 27 years after the awakening in 1957, it would come back with a vengeance on the people of Derry and those who had beaten it so many years before.
Dang. So he got defeated, but he came back 27 years later. Crazy. But his mother ever can't die. Basically what you telling me?
In July of 1984, a festival
The mother ever can't die.
celebrate the anniversary of Derry's Canal. At the festival,
Immortal!
there's a little dispute between two parties. On one side, there are three guys, Steve Dubé, John Garton, and Christopher Unwin. They're harassing a homosexual couple, Don Haggerty and Adrian Mellon. The initial dispute is broken up by police, but they have another confrontation later, where Garton and Dubé throw Mellon off of a bridge, where Pennywise the Clown waits below. Mellon might have survived the fall, but Pennywise drags him under the bridge and bites into his armpit with huge teeth.
Bites into his armpit?
Thousands of I Heart Derry balloons, similar to the balloon that Mellon had earlier at the Derry Canal Days festival, emerge and hit the bottom of the bridge. Mellon's body is found with stab wounds, bite marks, and a missing armpit. Pennywise's return parallels one.
Why you biting in the armpit though? What's with the armpit?
Body is found with stab wounds, bite marks, and a missing armpit.
Missing
Pennywise's
armpit?
return parallels one of the many other tragedies occurring in Derry for the last 300 plus years in one major way. The incident is largely ignored by witnesses and news outlets. However, there's one person taking special interest, the town librarian, Michael Hanlon, one of the losers who stayed in Derry all of these years to keep an eye out for
So he was one of the losers. Now he actually, what you still doing here? Mother effer, you know what I'm saying? If I was you, I'll get the freak out of town right now. You know what I'm saying? What the freak is you doing? You feel me? Still staying in there. You already defeated the mother effer. What? Dang, he coming back now. He already gave you hell already. You know what I mean? What you trying to defeat him? I want to defeat him for good this time. Bro, just get the freak out of town, man. Hey, we don't do this, man. You a brother? Oh my God, he a brother.
Did the creature ever return?
I was kind of like, I'm like, a brother?
Mike wanted to be sure that it was.
We stir off the lie.
Contacting his old friends. He stood by as Pennywise claimed the life of Lisa Albrecht on October 18th, and then Stephen Johnson at Memorial Park near the end of the year. On February 14th, 1985, two more children disappeared, Dennis Torrio and Lorianne Winterbarger. Dennis's body was found in the Barrens with a photo of Georgie Denbrough. This is the same photo that disappeared from the photo album when Bill and Richie went to look in 1958. By March, Mike is pretty convinced that it has come back, but wants to have proof before alerting the others. Bodies continue to pile up. Dawn Roy, a 13-year-old girl, is found decapitated in
decapitated. This man decapitated a 13-year-old girl.
Is killed and mutilated by Pennywise. 2 weeks later, on May 6th, Pennywise emerges through the pipes as 2-year-old Frederick Cowan uses the restroom and drowns him in the toilet bowl.
What?
His mother was outside and she heard screaming, repeated flushing of the toilet, and laughter that didn't sound human. When she found her son, she had to be taken to a mental hospital in Bangor. It was only 1 week after when Jeffrey Holly was found torn apart in Basie Park near the canal. John Fury and Jerry Bellwood, two 5th grade classmates, were killed before the end of May. Fury was found with his legs torn off under the porch at 29
Legs torn off.
Bellwood.
Dang, this mother effer, when this mother effer kill you, bro gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? Bro said a supernatural thug, you know, for Sholioli. You know what I mean? But when bro kill you, bro biting off armpits, bro decapitating, bro cutting off legs. Oh shoot. Yeah. Freddy coming for you. 3, 4, knock on the door. 5, 6. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to choose Freddy. You know what I'm saying? F that. You know what I mean? I deal with Freddy in my dreams. I'm not dealing with this mother effer.
Turned up near a cemetery on Kansas Street with the words
bro coming through toilets, driving people through toilets. What?
Over and over in blood, a direct message to Mike, who would soon make the 6 phone calls
Hey,
to
Mike.
remind his friends of the promise they once made. The news was too much for Stan, who took his own life.
Oh,
In the
man.
meantime, Itz would also be calling back an old friend. Henry Bowers, who was sitting in Juniper Hill Mental Asylum, began hearing the same familiar voice of Pennywise speaking to him through the moon. When the remaining losers
Bro, Shaw is speaking to the moon.
Turning to Derry, Pennywise leaves them warnings in their
What?
fortune cookies, including eyes, bugs, and more. This is a symbolic way for Itz to tell them that they'll meet unhappy fortunes if they try to fight. The losers go for individual walks around town while they wait for the memories of the summer of '58 to come back. During this time, Pennywise terrorizes each of them with the belief that they'll not be able to win.
Bro talking about just get a friend to be next to you while you sleep to wake you up. Cuz you're not gonna have a friend every day. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like you feel me? Cuz acting like you just gonna have a friend every day. Just get a friend to be next to you while you sleep to wake up. I mean, cuz you're gonna be alone some days, bro.
They once did.
Don't make no sense, Crimson.
So confident is a combination of factors. The losers have grown up, lost their imaginations, lost one of their members, Stan, and forgotten about Derry for the most part. However, one thing that I think it didn't count on was the fact that despite them growing older, many of them still work in creative fields. Beverly designs dresses, Ben designs buildings, Richie is a radio DJ known for his creative voices, and Bill is an author of fiction, a concept that those people who think Pennywise is real don't seem to understand. Each of the losers goes somewhere that they used to spend time at in Derry. Ben visits the library where Pennywise taunts him from the landing.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
I love that part. It also scared Ben using the form of Dracula and taunting him about the death of Stan. Before disappearing, it leaves behind a balloon with a message.
What your little thick self gonna do? You gonna follow the balloon, thickie?
Him about the death of Stan. Before disappearing, it leaves behind a balloon.
Nobody else see the balloon? Nobody else see this balloon.
You die.
Everybody freaking in their books, so we don't just see this red balloon just floating in the middle of the library.
Disappearing, it leaves behind a balloon
What's
with
we
a
doing?
message. Have a good day. Tonight you die. In the movie, Pennywise spends more time warning the losers that they should get out of town, which I don't really find to fall in line with the character so much.
Just get out of
In the
town,
novel,
man.
it comes back and wants revenge on those who bested him, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to lure them all back and then make them leave again. Eddie takes his walk down memory lane. Not down memory lane, because that probably isn't a real place, but rather down West Broadway, where he comes upon the Tractor Bros truck depot, or at least what's left of it. This is where all the kids used to play baseball. Eddie sees a leper version of Belch Huggins climb over the fence, and then the canvas squares that they used to use as bases fly into the air and take after him. Tony Tracker, one of the co-owners of the depot, comes out of the ground at home plate. Eddie also sees a zombie version of his childhood crush, Greta Bowie, and of Patrick Hochstetter. Beverly goes back to her old apartment to see if her dad is still there, but a woman named Mrs. Kirsch has taken up residence and invites her in for tea. Mrs. Kirsch starts rotting before her eyes before dropping the fact that her father was Robert Gray, also known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Bev also realizes that the tea she's drinking tastes like crap from the sewer, and it is at this point that Sis snapped. That meme's probably going to be so outdated by the time this video even comes out. Mrs. Kirsch turns into a witch and chases Bev.
What the freak, bro? Weirdo? Start rotting and all that?
Her father was Robert Gray, also known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Bev also realizes that the tea she's drinking tastes like crap from the sewer. And
Oh my gosh, she drinking sewer booty.
Point that Sis snapped. That meme's probably going to be so outdated by the time this video even comes out. Mrs. Kirsch turns into a witch and chases Beverly out as the whole place
hey.
candy like the house from Hansel and Gretel. As she runs out, she hears her father's voice call out, but when she turns back, she sees the clown holding the detached leg of a child. There's also a balloon with the words "It Came from Outer Space," the name of a horror movie from the 50s that also works with the origin of It, from It, by Stephen King. Well, I could probably go on about how many times I've had an issue trying to distinguish the monster It from the word It. Let's instead move on to Richie Tozier. Richie goes back to City Center, where the Paul Bunyan statue turns into Pennywise holding 2 balloons, one reading Richie Tozier's All Dead Rock Show. Pennywise tells him that the
Hold on, so you telling me that none of this junk be real?
The crawling eye.
So basically, Pennywise just basically be messing with your freaking head. So basically, none of this junk be real. Basically, am I tweaking? So none of that junk was real that she experiencing now.
That they encountered on their
So that Paul Bunyan, that wasn't real.
He looks back up and the clown has been replaced by a Buddy Holly statue. And looking back on it now, it's interesting to note that Pennywise the clown looks just like Buddy Holly roughly 9 years before anyone knew who Rivers Cuomo was. Richie feels a sharp pain in his eyes, possibly a connection to the smoke in his eyes during the smoke hole ritual that they did as kids. He blinks his contacts back to normal, and yes, this is me blinking for all you people people who comment and say I never blink, and everything goes back to normal, but he still hears Pennywise's laughter in the back of his head. Late that night, it takes the form of Victor Criss to break Henry out of the mental asylum. Victor's body still has the voice of Pennywise though, and he explains that Henry must kill the losers, because Henry can hurt them regardless of if they believe in him or fear him. In order to escape, they must first get past one of the Juniper Hill guards, John Coons. It first attacks him using the Pennywise form, then turns into a giant dog, which is a Doberman just like the guards at the asylum, and mauls Coons to death. That night, the losers reconvene at the library, where it taunts them with strange visions, including one of Stan's 11-year-old head, which is stuffed with feathers, possibly a reference to the often used bird form of it.
I finally made it, guys. I'm in the deadlights now.
You know what? It's true what they say. We all float down here, and you will too. In fact, they all float!
His eyes open, and they are the eyes of Pennywise. The head bursts, leaving behind a mess of blood. The losers decide to call it a night, but Henry Bowers has other ideas. Henry ambushes.
I don't know, it seemed kind of
wrapping up at the library.
Seemed kind of real to me.
On the streets at 2 a.m., he sees a sewer grate with a balloon tied to it. Don't waste your time on Henry, because the voice inside his head tells him that a ride has been sent for him, and in 1958 Plymouth Fury pulls up. Now I know this isn't an episode of Things You Missed, this is horror history, but let me give you a freebie anyways. The car matches the description of Christine from another Stephen King book, Christine. The driver of the car was a zombie version of Belch, who doesn't speak the entire car ride until the end, when Pennywise's voice comes out of his mouth and tells him to shut up and get the losers. I can only imagine what kind of review Henry would have left on Zombie Uber. Henry would go on into the hotel and manage to injure Eddie Kaspbrak, just as he did in 1958. But in 1985, It had one more trick up her sleeve that none of the Losers Club would have seen coming before the final showdown.
Some crazy-ish right here. There's some crazy-ish. I don't know who the freak I am.
Never really escaped her abusive father. Yes, she did get out of Derry, and yes, that was the last time she ever spoke to her dad.
Stay out of Derry.
But Beverly ended up falling into the same trap again when she married a man named Tom Rogan, who treated her even worse than Al Marsh did.
And what you gonna do, stay with him? I told you, I don't feel sorry for women like you. Slap the taste out your mouth. I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. Just why do you have to disrespect me like that? You know what I'm saying? Why? You make me do this. That's the first thing abusers say. Why did you make me do this? They try to manipulate you to make you feeling bad about getting slapped. You made him do this. You made me do this. Y'all believe it too. Believe you're the reason. I am the reason you slapped the taste out my mouth. I shouldn't have done that. But these motherfuckers try to make any excuse in the world to stay with them abusers. You know what I'm saying? Well, I did this. Well, I did. He wouldn't have acted this way if I wouldn't acted like that. You know what I mean? He wouldn't slap me if I wouldn't acted like that. Motherfucker, he should be putting his hands on you regardless. You know what I'm saying? But when they gonna do slap the taste out your mouth, you gonna come right back. Like I said, all you gotta do is give him some good penis and balls. I said it all the time. I said it before and I'm gonna say it again. Give him some good penis and balls. You know what I mean? And they gonna forget you in a blink of an eye. Don't forget all about that slap. Slap him again, penis and balls. Slap again, penis and balls. Slap again, Peter B. Slap again, Peter B. Slap again, Peter B. Slap again, Peter B.
Trap again when she married a man named Tom.
Them motherfuckers, it's like them motherfuckers go blind. It's like them motherfuckers start acting dumb when they get Peter B. Penis to balls. You know what I mean? It's like man, they start. It's like
even worse than Al Marsh did. Tom was able to ascertain Beverly.
Look at her, y'all. Look at her.
To reunite with her child.
Oh, she left? What?
And Al Marsh.
Oh, what?
Tom was able to ascertain Beverly's location after she left him to reunite.
She actually left.
Friends in Derry, and he found himself waking up in a Holiday Inn in Maine, where he found a balloon.
Smart woman
tied
right
to
there.
His bathroom doorknob. The voice of it spoke to him.
Smart
through the
woman.
balloon,
I didn't think he was gonna leave.
To do its bidding. At this point, I think it's important to look back at its human servants. The fact that it was able to manipulate some people to do her bidding, but not others, is interesting to me. In fact, it seems that it is only able to manipulate people who already have a lot of evil in them. There is also a nurse that it manipulates later named Mark LaMonica, the brother of Cheryl LaMonica, who was killed in 1958. It sends him with a scalpel to try to finish off Mike in the hospital, and King describes him as being an easy target for it because he's a drug addict. On the other hand, it seems like its rival, the Turtle, is able to manipulate good people. The Losers Club members often describe some kind of helping hand aiding them, like when Mike was throwing the tiles at the bird and he feels something helping him throw harder than usual. Now, if only we could get the Cubs bullpen to get a little help from the turtle, then we'd really be in business. Beverly's husband Tom isn't the only spouse who followed their partner into Derry, because Bill's wife Audra also made the trip. In order to ensure the opportunity for revenge, it uses Tom to capture Audra and bring her into the sewers, leaving her purse at the foot of the pumping station as bait for Bill. Because of this, he, Eddie, Ben, Beverly, and Richie must go to face it before they're ready, and this time they're on a rescue mission. Even with everything turned in its favor, even with only 5 losers to kill now as opposed to 7, it feels fear again as they approach. So Pennywise tries to intimidate them a little more on their drive to the Barrens. Pennywise speaks through the car radio, first reading an ad for the Richie Tozier All Dead Rock Show, then Georgie's voice berates Bill, telling him, "You let it kill me." They turn off the radio, which must have been a good indicator for it that Bill was still pretty rattled by the idea that he could have possibly been responsible for what happened to Georgie. I think it's for this reason that the first form that the losers encounter after climbing down to the sewers is Bill's younger brother. Bill starts to feel guilt, and he feels that he should have been the one to die. The others need him to come to the realization that this Georgie isn't real, and he's able to do so by repeating the phrase. He thrusts his fist against the posts and still insists he sees the ghost. Just like last time, this hurts it, who retreats into the inner sanctum. You may have noticed throughout this video that I refer to it using the female pronouns. There's a reason for that, and when they get to the inner layer at the heart of the sewer system, they discover that the deadlight that they interpret as a spider has an egg sac. It's female and it's pregnant. Though I do have serious questions about who in their right mind would have actually knocked it up, but actually,
I'm busy.
questions about who in their right mind would have actually
Who the freak knocked it up?
But actually, let's
that ugly
try not to
thing.
think about that. Once again, it goes for Bill, which if you think about it makes sense. He's the leader. He's probably the biggest threat to it, seeing as how he became a writer and he's still flowing with creativity, and it's his wife that has been captured, so he's the most motivated. Just like when they were young, Bill leaves his physical body and enters the void. It tells him that the turtle is dead and won't be able to help him this time, which he doesn't believe at first, but later concludes to be true when they pass by the turtle's empty shell. Bill tried to mentally seize its tongue like he had during the ritual of Chud when they were kids, but this time he misses its grip and drifts deeper into the void. In the physical chamber, Richie realizes something is wrong and confronts the spider using his Irish cop voice. Richie is then whacked into the cosmic void as well, and he's able to successfully engage in the ritual of Chud. Richie takes Bill's hands and threatens to kill it if it doesn't bring them back to the real world. They almost lose their grip on it, but they're able to safely get back to their physical bodies. Just before they arrive, Eddie is trying to hurt the spider with his aspirator just like he did in 1958. But it's
Aspirator, what?
The physical body of the spider, it bites down and rips Eddie's arm off before retreating into the dark depths of the lair. This time, Richie and Bill don't want to let it get away again. Just as they pursued it to 29 Neibolt Street as kids, they follow the spider further into the dark. Beverly stops to comfort Eddie in his final moments, while Ben finds the trail of eggs left behind by it, and one by one attempts to stomp them all out. Now, it was becoming more afraid than ever. It sensed Richie and Bill's pursuit. It sensed the death of its young, and it began to turn white. It's turned back to Richie and Bill, now beginning to let off the deadlights from within. The arachnid creature begged them to let her go, offering them power, success, and the prospect of 500-year lives. Bill and Richie began to feel the power of another. Not it, not the turtle, but the celestial force I mentioned way back at the beginning of this video, even before I started talking about the tacos, that created both of them. Bill hears the sound of the spider's heart pounding now, like an enormous drum. He punches his way into it, reaches for the heart, and crushes it in his hand. The creature jerked and quivered, but as it died, the light faded from it. Bill heard the voice of the other telling him, "Son, you did real good." Richie was basically passed out at this point, and Ben had finished stomping out over 100 eggs, and he thinks he's gotten them all. Audra falls from the webbing she's strung up in and lies crumpled on the ground in a catatonic state. Eddie has died, and Beverly's pack of matches is their only source of light and hope to get out. Meanwhile, a huge storm brews above them over Derry, and the flood that would ensue is a metaphorical washing out of all of the bad history that the town had endured over the 300 or so years of its existence. The flood would end up destroying much of Main Street and any buildings near the canal that were swept away. The losers were able to climb directly out of the destroyed sewer pipes to the street above. As they left Derry, their memories of everything that had happened between them and it began to fade once again. But
that's manipulation. That's manipulation, bro. The devil will manipulate you, bro, to success, you know what I mean? And everything. He's not giving it to you. He's lying. I mean, the devil will give you success. You know what I'm saying? The devil will give you that. You know what I mean? But all the manipulation tactic, man. You know what I mean? The devil is very smart. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing you got to understand about the devil. He ain't dumb. He's very smart, bro. Why you think the world thinks the way the world thinks? Because Satan is the god of this world.
Even Mike, who is still recovering in the hospital, would lose his memory.
That's why this world is so evil.
Place in and under Derry, Maine. At this point in the story, it is widely believed that it's the creature that had caused so
Satan
much
attacks the mind, man.
Lives was dead. However, some might say that simply isn't true. Stephen King would go on to write many more novels that either take place in or reference the town of Derry. Some of them seem to imply that the battle with the Losers Club in 1985 was not the end of Pennywise. A few years passed before the event.
How long I've been live streaming, chat? I know it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Alien intelligence possesses the nearby village of Haven, Maine.
Oh, like 2
A 15-year-old
hours,
boy named Tommy Jacklin is sent with 13-year-old Hester Brookline to retrieve as many car batteries.
2 hours and 10 minutes?
During the stop in
What?
Derry, Tommy notices a clown.
That's crazy.
With shiny
I'm ratting my
silver
Dodgers
eyes
next.
staring at him through an open sewer manhole. He brushes it off as an effect of the alien's mutations on his mind, but more evidence would come over a decade later in the year 2001. Dreamcatcher is another alien possession novel by Stephen King, in which a character named Mr. Gray, which in itself could be a nod to the human form of it, Robert Gray, comes across the former spot of the Derry standpipe, the water storage structure that was destroyed in the flood at the end of it in 1985. There's now a memorial in its place. It reads, "To those lost in the storm, May 31, 1985, and to the children, all the children. Love from Bill, Ben, Bev, Eddie, Rich, Stan, Mike, the Losers Club." But there is another message which has been spray painted in red jagged letters over the top of the memorial, which reads, "Pennywise lives." This is pretty solid proof that Pennywise does indeed live.
I'm telling you, that
on,
motherfucker just
because
don't
most
die.
Of the town doesn't know who Pennywise is.
So we got to get the freak out of here. Then we got to get the freak out of here.
Who don't have the motive
Immortal.
to face this memorial like Pennywise does. But how does Pennywise live? It was pretty clear that the deadlights faded.
He died.
And landings disappeared from the door leading to
The
sky's
freak.
lair. Some believe that the 27-year cycle simply can't be stopped, that the Losers Club never had the ability to kill it to begin with, and that Pennywise simply went back to sleep. However, I have a different theory. At the end of the battle in 1985, Richie and Bill finish off the spider, while Ben stomps on all of the eggs, using only a pack of matches to find them and stomp all of them out. When they reconvene, Ben tells them, "I stamped out over 100. I think I got all of them." "I pray to God you did," Richie tells him. Then they flee from the chamber. It seems pretty inconclusive to me.
Yeah, like middle.
Thoughts Ben has earlier as he's stepping on all of them. How many? How many eggs? Didn't I read that spiders can lay thousands or millions? So I would theorize that at least one of these eggs went unnoticed, and it was reborn into a new physical body. This
Yeah.
new it would also
that.
have the shape-shifting ability.
F that. You gotta go. We gotta go. You know what I'm saying? F that. He's unbeatable.
Reborn into a new physical body. This new it would also have the shape-shifting ability, and thus would also be able to take the exact same form as Pennywise. It also makes sense for the new it to use this form again because it seems to know all about things happening in Derry and would be able to pick up on the idea that the kids in town are scared of this clown. There's one more possible piece of evidence that Pennywise lives in Stephen King's 2014 book, Mr. Mercedes. This one doesn't take place in Derry, but rather in Cleveland, Ohio, where a serial killer wears.
I mean, how can you step on millions
One of
and
the characters compares
thousands
it to
of
the
eggs?
TV movie about the clown in the sewers. He's talking about the TV miniseries adaptation of it that came out in 1990. So apparently this adaptation also exists in Stephen King's universe. But you'd have to think that in order for that to be possible, someone somewhere had to have seen the real Pennywise and been inspired by it. So I think this is another piece of evidence that Pennywise is alive, probably as one of the forms of the new it after the events of the novel It. So what does that hold for the future? Could we one day see a sequel to It? During a Reddit AMA in 2013, Stephen King addresses the question. "I don't think I could bear to deal with Pennywise again. Too scary, even for me." So maybe we'll continue to see Pennywise lurking in the shadows of some of King's future works, or maybe he'll change his mind after seeing how much people love the 2017 and 2019 adaptations of It. Let me know what you think in the comments. Click the playlist on the left to see the complete history of some other characters from
Oh,
It,
man.
and remember to subscribe to
I appreciate everybody, you know what I mean, for looking at that. I did part 1 of this video as well, so y'all make sure y'all look at it in the movie reaction playlist section over yonder. You know what I mean? I had to go finish this one, but we're going to do a lot of videos like this going forward. I got Freddy Krueger in my sleeve. I got